Welcome to the Grand Review. This is the show that's all about movies and movie news. I'm your host, the man lost in the woods, Garrett Ray. Joining me as always, it's a man halfway through his transition into what I can only describe as a freaking beast. It's Andy Delia.
Thanks, Garrett.
Well, welcome to the show. If you've never joined us before, first off, thank you for being here. Second, if you're not sure how this works, basically, we're going to do a spoiler-free review right up front of this week's movie. If you've read the title, you know what it is. And then we're going to do a spoiler section after that. And then we'll do news towards the end. So that's kind of the back half of the show. Time codes for all of those things are in the show notes. So if you want to jump around, feel free to. And that's basically how it works. Well, we are going to jump right into our spoiler-free review here. Andy, we always start with your thoughts, but I suppose I should say which movie we saw. We saw Dogman, the animated film by... No, we saw Wolfman. So this is the newest movie from Leigh Whannell and Universal Studios. I almost said Paramount. I'm like, no,
in association with Blumhouse.
Yeah, in association.
Unfortunately,
with and so this is a kind of a reboot. It's another addition to the Universal MonsterVerse that is not necessarily a thing anymore, but that's the easy way to it's Universal Monsters, all those classics that you know and maybe love. And so this is a new version of the Wolfman that's not called the Wolfman. It's just Wolf Space Man. Yeah, and stars. Let's see who's all in this. Christopher Abbott, Julia Garner, and Sam Yeager is another person that's in this. And I don't even remember what. I guess Sam was the guy that at the beginning. Yeah.
There weren't many people in this to begin
Blake's
with.
Father,
so.
And then we've got a couple of. So it's Matilda Firth is Ginger Lovell. So
okay.
I'm not really familiar with her stuff. Looks like she's been in a couple things: Vampire Academy, something called Hole Raisers, British television sitcom, The Power, Time, Mr. Bates versus the Post Office. So those are all TV roles. She was in Disenchanted as a little girl. Go figure.
Well, she is a little girl.
She was in Subservience with that Megan Fox movie we didn't bother to watch.
Yeah, nobody else did too. That's why it went straight to Hulu.
Yep. So anyway, so she's done some horror stuff. She was in something called Starvaker, which just I don't know, the artwork for that makes me think horror film. It's a British folk horror film. So she's British, which means she should have been the villain of this movie, but she wasn't.
This one is not to be confused either with the Anthony Hopkins, Benicio del Toro one.
No, that is very separate. That was 2014 or something like that, I
think so.
But anyway, so we saw this and we sat down, we watched it. I had been looking forward to this with the trailers, kind of getting me excited. I know you were as well. Mm-hmm. And it's a werewolf movie.
Yeah.
Andy, your thoughts?
I thought it was good. I liked it. I liked the practical effects on this were pretty decent. I like the fact that the transformation scenes are very gradual. Mm-hmm. It doesn't happen all at once, and there's a little bit more methodical pacing to this. And for that reason, I think most people actually won't like this because it's not. I mean, there are some real cringeworthy scenes in this, like for blood. But
sure,
nothing.
It is gory. This is R-rated. We should probably mention that. Don't take your kids to this.
Even though the whole family that sat in front of us while we saw this.
There were a lot of people. There are moments I can't talk about without going into spoilers. But there were people laughing, and I'm not sure if it was discomfort or if they were just like, "That's goofy," because it could go either way.
I didn't think it was goofy. I was followed and paid attention to this and was glad to go along for the ride. Leigh Whannell definitely has a good eye for doing these things. Like I really like the Invisible Man too that he did with Elizabeth Moss.
I think we've talked about that before. Yeah. Like how that was the one that made me go, maybe I do like horror and suspense and thriller stuff more than I thought I did.
Yeah, and I mean, even though this is a little squirmy, like it's not like really, it's not Terrifier gory.
Yeah, it's not Terrifier gory, and any of the gore like really has a purpose.
Yeah, and it has a decent storyline too, and I thought it was well written.
Yeah. What would you say if you were to hear, I don't know, just for instance, that perhaps there was just pick a random number here, 57% approval on Rotten Tomatoes right now?
It's not surprising.
Really? Not surprised at all?
Yeah, just when you do like a retooling and reimagining of these classic, monster movies and theories and that, they either go one or two directions. They're either received very well or they're not. And this one, I just kind of figured is not going to be received very well because it's different. And I think most people are going to find this probably on the boring side, even though like I was glued to my seat.
I was too. I literally, you know how I always have to get up to go pee in the middle of the movie?
Well, you got up once.
I got up once,
So
but
did I.
I picked a moment where I was like, okay, it's just going to be a sweet moment between the dad and daughter. I get that. They love each other. And then I came back in and I asked Hannah, I was like, did I miss anything? And she goes, it's just, he said sometimes, this, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's about what I
didn't miss anything.
Yeah. And so I'm very good at picking those moments in movies. But the second time I was like, I have got to go to the bathroom. And then they started leaving the house, and I was like, I'll just piss in the seat.
No, please don't.
No, I won't.
I don't want me or my staff to have to clean that up. Thank you.
I would never. This movie has got a 57% kind of, I think it's on Rotten Tomatoes. So on Rotten Tomatoes, this has a 57% with people saying that director Leigh Whannell's attempt at bringing a fresh psychological dimension to the Wolfman comes at the expense of proper scares. Although fans of body horror will still find some tasty morsels to chew on. So that's kind of what they're saying. And
pun fully attended on that.
Yes, I'm sure it was. The Chicago Tribune said the film was crafty, patient, and deceptively good in the first half, but has a plotting second half.
Okay.
I don't agree with that.
I don't either.
It's interesting.
Those highfalutin review people. What do they know? We're just two normal guys.
We're the common men.
Yes.
We're just normal men out here enjoying life.
I'm not looking for art. I was looking for gore.
I was looking for gore. I was looking for, the kind of interesting stuff that Leigh Whannell does with the camera. And I was certainly not looking to ever have to pay attention to Chicago, Illinois. So your Tribune means nothing. But yeah, this was, I liked this. I like this a lot. I had a lot of fun with this. I don't think it quite reaches the same heights for me as The Invisible Man does. There's something about that movie that really just like, I don't know, pushes my buttons in exactly the right way. But I was stuck to the screen the whole time.
Well, I think there's a different edge with The Invisible Man as compared to Wolfman. There's not a whole lot you can variate for with Wolfman.
Right.
Invisible Man came up with such a fresh storyline for what that film is that's probably why you had a little bit more gravitation to that than, Wolfman. Like I said, there's not a whole lot you can do with it that hasn't already been done.
Right.
This is a little bit more different approach to it because it's not relying a whole lot on like these horrifying transformation scenes like, say, American Werewolf in London.
Sure, yeah.
Or The Howling.
Which a classic and incredible stuff in its own right. But,
right.
Yeah.
But this is very different.
Yeah. I think that one of the things that I liked about The Invisible Man and that I also enjoy about this is the fact that it's a psychological thing more than it is a gore and scare thing. And I, it's not a slasher film. It's a study of the things that scare us the most. And
things that go bump in the night.
Things that go bump in the night, and then the things that we as individuals are afraid of just in our regular life, and then taking that and kind of applying this fantastical kind of cover on top of it to explore that. And there's a lot of themes about a father's relationship with his child and all of those things in this movie that are I think was a good angle to take on it, and actually did some stuff that was very different from what I kind of expected. And I really appreciated that. And I think that it is something that is the only way you could go to make it fresh. And it felt fresh. Like, werewolf is werewolf. You get scratched, you turn into a wolf guy, you go, "Ooh," and that's, that's how it goes. But this, the trailer really makes it seem like you're going to be experiencing one thing, and the reality of the movie is pretty different. And as far as the story goes. And
Yeah.
I'm being vague here because we're in spoiler free, but I liked it, and I thought that the effects are really cool. It's a very good looking movie. There are some scenes where it's really dark, and there's the part of me that wants to go, let me see, but then there's the other part of me that goes, no, that's the point. And in most movies, or like Game of Thrones, where it's like it's too dark, you can't see anything. I'm like, all right, this has no purpose. It has a purpose.
This definitely is not a film to be seen at the drive-in.
Oh my goodness,
You won't make anything out.
If there's a light bulb within 3 miles of you in one of these scenes, you can't see anything.
Yeah, but when we get the spoilers, there's one of the camera tricks in photography that I really, really liked, and I thought it was cool to see it.
Yeah. There's some interesting kind of also, I guess you could say, art house sort of things where they're telling the story through lighting as well. There's one particular shot, and it's in the trailer, but
see, that's where
we'll talk about it then.
This shouldn't be with Blumhouse.
That's the thing, is like Leigh Whannell, I think, is a talented director, and he.
Yeah, because Blumhouse puts out crap most of the time.
Most of the time. Are they involved in Hard Eyes?
No, that's Sony.
Good Lord.
They're craving the Hunter territory.
We'll talk about that.
Blumhouse, ended up on like one of my worst for last year, Night Swim.
Yes.
They put that out.
Yeah.
And a lot of other films that we didn't get last year, like the tarot card one.
Yes.
That was another. And
my goodness.
I didn't even bother with that. I didn't even pay to go see that. And I won't watch it free.
Truth or Dare came out, and that was a moderate hit, and they were like, just do that, and they put 1 billion of them into production. It's like, that was a fluke,
Countdown.
Right? Yeah, Countdown.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. Anyway, but I would say if you're a fan of kind of psychological horror or anything that
something a little different take on a classic story.
Yeah. And I definitely think that if you're one of those people who, when you're watching a horror film or any film, like the familial connections or something that really kind of speaks to you, and because this is definitely something for me, like stories about families and them struggling and all that stuff is always something that makes me more interested than a group of friends or whatever.
And this film definitely had that.
Yeah. And so it was good. I wouldn't say it's scary unless you put yourself in the situation. It's not doing a bunch of jump scares in those, like it's not trying to.
I think it was trying to rise above that and not go for like the obvious jump scares. It was trying to be a little bit more different, and no pun intended on this, really was to get underneath your skin with the story. And I thought that was a better approach.
Yeah, I full-heartedly recommend it. I don't know why, and maybe we'll find this out as we go through spoilers. Maybe I do know why. I'm going to give it a good. It's not quite in great for me, but if someone was like, "Hey, you want to watch this again?" I'd be like, "Yeah, sure." That's
it's
great.
a solid good.
Yeah, it's a very solid good. And you know what? For something that was made for $25 million, a solid good is fantastic.
It looks a lot more than that.
It does, doesn't it?
It has a.
Especially when you find out they built the whole house like on a set. They didn't shoot all of this just on location. They didn't just find the house and go decorate it. Yeah, they built a house on a set, and then they used the outdoor location was a separate place, and
that's cool.
They did all kinds of stuff. I was at least according to Wikipedia, which you hate. So I guess it's not that cool. But
I'll say I just don't like the fact that you got it from Wikipedia.
Yeah, well. You do what you can.
I know. We're cheap.
Cheap. We're free. Ain't nobody paying for this. Although, if you'd like to, you can contact us at grandreviewpod@gmail.com or reach out to us on Facebook or Instagram at grandreviewpod. Anyway, I think it's a recommend. I definitely would recommend, and I see it in theaters, man. It's the sound design and stuff, like when you're in the house and the things are moving around outside, like it really does get you in, like I was so nervous I was sitting there tapping on my teeth at certain points, which is a thing that I just realized I do, but I was sitting there going, oh, I'm very nervous right now. So weird.
Yeah, hearing all the creaks in the house and everything.
Goodness.
Yeah, it's really cool.
All right. Well, you want to get into spoilers?
Yeah,
let's
get
do
into
it.
spoilers.
Okay, so spoilers for Wolfman ahead. Like I said, go see the movie at Grand Avenue Theater, grandavenuetheaters.com. Buy your tickets online, pick your seats, get the recliners, and then get yourself some food when you get here. But yeah, this is a fun movie to watch because you can see that they're really trying to do something with the story.
Yep.
And the thing that really was different for me was that you're expecting Dad to be the threat the whole time,
Right.
but he's not.
He's not.
And so like, you know, the scene in the trailer where the wolf shows up on the top of the truck, you're like, oh, that's the dad. At that point, but that's not what's going on at all. It's actually his dad,
Right. So that's probably the biggest spoiler. Is that the creature that they're fighting most of this movie is actually the guy's father.
Yeah.
Who they established at there's a whole backstory at the beginning of this of the dad showing the main character when he's younger about going hunting and the legend of like this wolf creature. Mm-hmm. I forget what it said in the opening title.
It's called Face of the Wolf. Is
right.
The locals before, you know, modern settlers called it the Face of the Wolf. I will not try to pronounce what the native word for it were, but they call it Hills Fever.
Yes,
yeah. So it's kind of like a local legend, but they kind of believe it, and then the dad and young Blake, Grady and young Blake, they go out into the woods. They're hunting, and Grady sees a wolf.
Right.
And then we find out that he's been looking for this thing because he believed it existed, and he's putting himself in harm's way to try and protect his boy, as he said. But you could just live not in Oregon, and that would be a better way to protect your boy.
Yeah, so then it flash forwards like 30 years later. Blake is an adult, you know, has a wife and a kid, and gets the envelope saying that his father has been declared legally dead with the keys to the house. They're making a trek to Oregon, and I think they're living in New York City.
I believe it looks like it's New York City. I'm pretty sure, that's the Manhattan bridges that we saw, the establishing shot.
That they're going to go pack up this house, and, you know, they get into this horrific car wreck, which the camera...
Yeah.
Work on that was incredible.
Yeah, I was not expecting. That most of the time they're in that wreck, the camera is basically like floating like a third-person video game view from the back, and you're attached to it, so you feel the kind of like rocking, and as it flips and stuff, you really get like, oh no.
Yeah, because you're not even sure like where the truck ended up until you see like a shot later.
Right. Yeah. And you know,
it's extremely disorienting.
Yeah. The obvious way to do it is to do it from inside the truck with their point of view, but I think it was much more shocking from the angle that they chose.
Right.
I really like that.
Yeah, that was one of the things I thought was cool.
That was cool. But then after that they the guy, so it was Derek, was that his name? I can't remember. So
who's a neighbor? Yeah,
he was.
The best thing I guess you could consider would be calling him a neighbor, since like there's not that many people living in this area of Oregon where the house was.
Yeah, we find out that most people have moved off the mountain. Not a lot of people up there anymore. You don't go out after dark. And then he gets in the truck, and Charlotte's like, "No, don't let him get in the truck." And Blake's like, Shush. It's fine.
Yeah, he's okay. I know him.
But he like barely remembered him at all. I did get uncomfortable because the first thing that Derek does when he gets in the car, I hope his name is Derek. I think that's right.
It was.
Anyway, it started with a D. So when Ding Dong gets in the car, he turns and he sees Ginger for the first time. He's like, well, hello, cutie. And I'm like, nah. No, but he doesn't end up being a threat for very long because he opens the door and he's dead. That's it. We find out later his arm has been torn off. It's quite gruesome. The man did not die peacefully.
It was Derek too. Yeah,
it was Derek. Okay, great. And so from there, you see it in the trailer. Blake gets scratched. They get to the house. And so this is where a good portion of the movie is going to take place, is within this house and then kind of somewhat in the barn and the truck outside. And look, there are some things where I did go like, well, how does that make sense? Or why would that work? Because at one point they're on top of the greenhouse, which is covered in a plastic tarp. And I'm like, if it's been 30 years, that thing's just shredded.
Right. And that's the last thing I would think you would want to take or try to get away from is on top of that.
Right, yeah. And also, how did none of them think to say, like, hey, little girl, don't crawl across the ripped up already plastic tarp. Maybe stay on the metal support beam, you freaking idiot. Like, I get it. She's your daughter, but sometimes you have to use a stern word to get those children in line.
Yeah.
Like when we try to get Drew to watch a good movie.
Oh, that's tough.
We love you, Drew. We really do. But yeah, this was there's so much stuff that I like about it, but one of the big things for me was the performance by Charlotte, who was Julia Garner, who it wasn't bad, but there were moments where it was just very flat, and I was trying to figure out if it's because she's supposed to be sort of emotionally stunted, or if it was just not quite hitting the notes it should. I don't know if you felt the same way.
I felt the performance was kind of flat time, and I really like her too.
Me too.
But they kind of established that she's almost emotionally devoid from this relationship with the scene outside of her office or where she works, and they're having lunch, I think. Yeah,
they're having lunch, and he's trying to convince her to go to Oregon with him.
Right. And she's like, yeah, I'm here. And I was like, I don't believe you.
Yeah. And it works in that moment, but then later when she's comforting him and he can't understand her anymore, and she's saying I love you and stuff, it's like it still felt really forced. It felt really forced, and it was like, do you believe anything you're saying? And I was trying to see if I was supposed to be picking up on something in that, or if it was just the performance not making me believe that she believes what she's saying.
Yeah, I think that's it.
And that's not. I'm not trying to be a critic. I'm just saying something I felt while watching. That's all.
If we're going along with that line, the little girl's performance was better than hers. She was a lot more convincing.
Yeah, and she has it tougher because she's literally a child who's never felt what it's like to go through any of these things.
Right.
Like she was doing pretty all right.
All she wants is her dad back to be the normal person. And that's, as the film goes along, that's not going to happen. Yeah. This is not going to end well. Yeah.
But Christopher Abbott, man, like as Blake, really, I liked his performance a lot.
I've never seen him in anything, or at least I don't think I've seen him in anything else.
I have.
Oh.
Craven.
That figures.
He's in Craven the Hunter. I was trying to figure it out. I was like, I know this guy's face. He's the guy who counts to 3.
Oh, okay.
But like, it was such a forgettable role. But in this one, I'm like, this dude's got the chops, man. Like he's doing the human stuff really good, and you do connect with him, and you do kind of see him dealing with the pain that his father inflicted, and then trying to avoid that. But he also does the Wolfman stuff really good. It's very, and the way that in the transitional period, those little kind of animalistic mannerisms start coming through,
right?
And how gradual it is, and like how he moves his jaw and stuff. It really, really, really works for me.
And then he goes into defense mode and protecting his family from his dad.
Yes, yeah. Did you call that it was going to be his dad earlier on? Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, I figured it. As soon as like he mentioned he went missing and he's finally, I'm like,
yeah,
oh, he's the creature. Yep.
Yeah. And so there was that, and then there was also the moment where I was in the little boy's room doing a piddly potty, where I came back and Hannah told me that he said sometimes we get so afraid of causing of our children getting scarred that we end up being the ones who scar them. Yeah. And I'm like, you mean like your dad who was always trying to protect his boy by going out into the woods alone and hunting a wolf man? So, a little bit of, I wouldn't call it
foreshadowing.
Yeah, it's more like I don't know, something more solid than a shadow. It's more like slapping you a little bit. but that being said, like, you know, it is a correct point. If you know, the parents are always trying to do the best they can for their kids, and when they're trying to protect them or teach them or whatever, sometimes we make the wrong choice, or we deal with something the wrong way. And I don't have kids, but you know, I think that's a very it's an interesting point, and it's a good thing to kind of have on the discussion board. And I also enjoy that, his humanity. There's a moment, and this is one of those lighting gags I was talking about, where they're doing some of the storytelling through that, where he gets really I don't know exactly what happens to him, but once the Wolfman comes through the doggy door, which is a hilarious joke that I love, and grabs him, he kind of starts convulsing and stuff, and you see the lights around him fade out, and then there's just this sliver of light left on him. So it's like the world fades away, and it's just him, and then that light's gone, and I was like, okay, so that's him. He died. Yeah. He's dead. But then, you know, he still has some of that humanity and desire to protect his family,
right?
Showing through up until a certain point.
But then going through and making that reverse angle from his POV, and the lighting effects that are done on everything around him and how everything is perceived through his eyes. That I thought that was really neat.
Yeah,
something a little bit different that we haven't seen.
Because when he wakes up right after that lighting gag, that's when you see the house and you're like, oh, I guess the lights came back on or whatever, because it's pretty. You can see everything,
right?
And then he gets down to in the cellar and he's looking at. Gosh, what's her name? Charlotte, trying to call on the radio, and it's all garbled and everything. And then the camera moves past his shoulder towards her, and the lights, and you're like, oh, that's because he can see in the dark because he's a wolf man. And I got so excited by it because when I, you know, and I'm not the most like amazing person because I realized that's what's happening, but I leaned over to Hannah. I was like, that's because he could see she can't see the dark, and it's really cool. And she goes, I know. And I was like, yeah, but it's good.
So you're saying Hannah is smarter than you sometimes?
Sometimes. All the time. All the time. Yeah, no, she's
except
brilliant.
when it comes to your cat.
No, she's probably smarter than me because Turtle doesn't hate her. But Turtle hates me.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it was a really interesting lighting gag, and I also like that and the VFX, you know, as a part of that. But I like that as things go on, like the first couple times we see that shift happen and the camera goes to over his shoulder and we're seeing things from his perspective, their faces are still them. But by the time we get into the barn and we see his point of view again, their faces are distorted and
their eyes are
and the mouths aren't right and the chins have changed and like everything's very distorted. And I was like, that is a really, really cool way to show just like how he's lost who they are. He's lost that, and all he sees now is prey. And I enjoyed that escalated and, you know, kind of went further and further as it went along.
So a couple of the gore gags that I liked in this.
Yes.
I liked it when he was vomited up like the fingers that he bit off of his dad. I thought that was cool.
Andy's here with the gore report, everybody.
And then definitely when he chewed off his own foot.
Okay.
That was awesome.
I'm starting to think Leigh Whannell has a very specific fantasy. Because this is not the first movie where someone has had to remove their own foot to get free.
Yeah, Saw.
I just want to look and see if I can find any instances of that in any of the rest of his work.
But it's a common reflex of animals when they're caught in that kind of trap is to chew off their own limb to get free.
Yeah, absolutely.
So no, you know, and that's where my poor wife Jessica, she had to turn away, and all she heard was like that crunching, and she was like, "Nope," and she turned away. But I was like,
"They made the flesh sound so squishy."
It's a natural part. Like this actually happens in the wild.
Yeah.
So what are you really getting grossed out by?
Yeah.
So that's
but it's a gruesome scene. It's
and
gruesome.
Then that whole scene earlier on where he's actually munching on his arm.
Okay, so this was was one of those spots where, yeah, she takes the bandage off and you see that his flesh is like completely necrotic and he's, you know, and he starts going like it was almost funny, but I was sitting there and there was a part of me that wanted to laugh because it was, you know, it's unnatural and goofy sort of. But then I was like, if I was standing in that room right there, I would have pooped my pants. I would have pooped my freaking pants right in front of that guy.
Right.
Because that is, imagine watching someone you love or that you say you love but can't convince me you do. Imagine watching that person look at their rotting flesh and start to chew on it in front of you.
Yeah.
Like that would freak you out.
Yeah, it would.
And so I was caught up in that, you know, internal, like I want to laugh because he made a funny noise, but also that's awful. And then other people in the theater were laughing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know if that's appropriate. What is this, the Terrifier crowd? But yeah, I think Hannah laughed too, but I know hers was out of discomfort. She did it like
once again, Jessica was like,
that was the grossest part for me. When he chewed his leg off, I was just like, it tastes like chicken. You know, like I was over it at that point. But the arm and just the exposed flesh and the like pustules and stuff, I was like, that's pretty grody.
Yeah, and that's whole part of the like. That's where I like that the transformation scene wasn't all in one shot. It was gradual over time.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's very effective.
And how his humanity kind of slips in and out as he has like he has an animalistic reaction to the pain of his arm and seeing it and going, ah! And then he's like ashamed of it when he looks at how Charlotte's looking at him. And yeah, I really liked that struggle between, you know, the situation he's in and the man that he's always wanted to be for his family.
Right.
And that continuing on even after I would interpret it as he died.
Yeah. He's losing that grip.
Yeah. Yeah. And it really, it is, I think the thing that I loved about it was that it was an emotional horror. Mm-hmm. You know, like I really liked knowing that there's absolutely no way he gets out of this, but that's a terrifying thing that like you can really connect with. You know, it's not just the fight or flight, can I survive the night sort of thing. It's the, well, you know, I've lost this person, but when can I really let go?
Right. Which we see later on when they're finally at the deer blind and he's crawling up to get him, and the daughter says he wants this to be over.
Yeah.
And Charlotte has no choice but to shoot him to kill him.
Yeah, because I think he forces her to.
Yeah.
Like there's a
because
moment
he makes
where he's
like a lunge.
Yeah, he pushes the door to make sure that she'll pull the trigger.
Yep.
I do remember when she saw the arm, they were running through the woods. She saw the arm, and I turned to her and it was like, gun, 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 gun. There's gonna be a
and
gun.
It was there.
I was like, oh, thank God,
so
there's a gun.
So it didn't disappoint you.
And you know what's great about the gun in this movie, Andy? She picked it up.
And she knew how to use it.
And she knew how to use it. And she didn't leave it laying on the floor like someone in the frickin' Speak No Evil, stupid frickin' idiot woman, girl, person. I didn't have words. I was so angry.
And they also come back to how making these kind of creatures and monsters like sympathetic. Like you feel sorry for the guy that he's going through this, and it's really no fault of his own that he's now inflicted with this and going through this process, and to the point that he wants to die.
Yeah.
And there has to be some humanity in the back of your mind that you feel really sad that this guy has now lost his family, lost his existence, lost any reason to be on this planet anymore.
Yeah.
And that's his only option.
Yeah. It's such a heartbreaking tale. And I think that's what's, you know, this is more of a tragedy than it is a horror film.
And that's a big part of why I liked it.
Yeah, me too. And you're right. That is why people won't like it.
Right.
I think they
because it has a brain.
Yeah. And it's not a complex story. It's nothing that's super crazy complicated but the depth comes from the fact that it is a very real emotional journey for everyone except Julia Gardner.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I liked a lot of it. The only problems I have really are the Okay, I have 3 problems. The greenhouse plastic not being completely shredded. UV
I
light
think
makes
everybody
plastic
had a
break
problem
down.
with that.
So dumb. 2, how is the battery that would jumpstart the truck charged? Doesn't make any sense. If it's been sitting for that long, it's discharged entirely. It's completely dead. 3, how did he get back in the house? How did he get back in the house?
I don't know.
He goes upstairs and we see everything. And I'm pretty sure all the windows were barred up there too. Maybe I'm wrong, but how did he get back in the house?
I didn't see bars on the upside. I only saw bars on the lower windows.
Okay, so maybe that's it. But he just they never really explain how that happens. He just does it and gets back in the house, and then scary stuff happens.
And as comparison to last week with Den of Thieves 2, the pacing on this I thought was good, and it was
Yes.
It had enough suspense and everything going along to keep you interested in the film, or at least from my perspective.
Yeah. The only potentially quote unquote slow part is the scene where Blake is talking to Ginger on the couch where I was in the bathroom, because when I left and when I came back, it was exactly the same shot.
Oh, yeah.
Does that all play out in one shot, or do they cut back and forth when he's talking to her?
It's all about one shot.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's maybe I would have liked it a lot if I had not had a potty.
Well, that happens.
Oh well. I do remember I kind of jumped out of my skin when he does come down the stairs, because they're backing up from over here, and then you see kind of his head as he goes down the stairs, and then when she's watching the stairs, and then the camera cuts to Ginger, and you see him behind her. I was like, no!
Yeah.
It legitimately scared me. I thought the fight between the 2 wolfmen was all right. You know? It doesn't quite belay that they have this incredible superhuman strength, but I don't think that was the point. Because otherwise, the wolf would have jumped up through the plastic and done a Wolverine spinny kick thing and killed everybody.
Well, and the other thing too is that's where you see that it was Blake's dad.
Yes,
and that's where also you see too that once these creatures undergo this process, their grip on reality and who they've seen is not existent anymore.
Yeah, and it is interesting, how they show that through the wolf vision, if you will. Kind of after that, once Blake has completely turned and lost his grip, and I think that there's a good chance that they could have done something a little more interesting with the fight between them, but it is very grounded in a way, because it's not so fantastical. They look freaky, don't get me wrong, but they do have the grounding of not making the fight where they're throwing each other through multiple walls and stuff, makes it feel a little bit more visceral.
Well, then they could have very easily gone through throwing somebody out a window, and then the galloping and charges at each other in front of the house, and there's a whole bunch of other shots that could go in that direction to make it
in X-Men Origins Wolverine, where him and Sabretooth fight.
Or Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, but in that one they redeemed it because they cut his head off.
But they, like you said, they didn't. They kept it very grounded and very simple.
Yeah, and I think that's probably why people say it's got kind of a plotting second half. But I or at least the person from the Chicago Tribune does. But I liked the second half because there is so much of the slow transformation and the struggle and the seeing Charlotte step up for Ginger and all that stuff. I liked it. I thought it was good.
Yeah, me too.
Oh goodness! Anything else you wanna say about this one?
No.
Yeah, I think that pretty much covered everything for me.
Yeah.
Stay away from big doggos in the woods.
Yeah.
End of review.
Stay away from Oregon.
Stay away from Oregon.
Unless you have to go to Seattle.
That is a pretty view, though. I gotta say, that's real pretty.
I'm still amazed that they built all that stuff. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Turns out you can do a lot with $25 million. Now, imagine if you had $250 million.
So
what
Todd
could you
Phillips really needs to see this film and this is what you do, because guess what? Your next film is going to be about this much funded.
Yes.
If not less.
If you're lucky.
Yeah.
You know what you might get is a Happy Meal and a pat on the back. Try that. See if you can make a movie out of that, Todd Phillips.
I'd be happy with that. I like the cookie.
Happy Meals used to have cookies in them, didn't they?
They did.
Oh,
yes.
man, I forgot about that.
That's
they don't
how old I am.
think they do that anymore. They did it when I was a kid, too.
Yeah.
But I was around right before they started to kill off the play place.
Okay.
And now the play places are there, but they're lame and no one can die on them. So what's the point?
There's no like Mayor McCheese, crawling metal structures and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Sad.
Oh, goodness. All right. Well,
so news. Let's.
Oh, hold on. I think, Andy, we're connecting to the World Wide Web.
Wow.
It must be time for... It is. It's time for this week's Internet Movie of the Week.
Yes.
So you saw this. I
did.
didn't. My bad.
Yeah, you didn't do your homework.
I didn't do my homework, but I did do some home renovation projects.
Oh,
So,
okay. Which you sent me video of.
yeah, trying to make my wife not want to leave. So, no, I'm kidding.
Wow.
I got to make it a livable place.
I'm not your marriage counselor.
No. I'm just saying, the cardboard box needed to get reinforced a little bit that we live in. So that's all I was working on.
Okay.
So the Internet Movie of the Week, Andy, what is it?
The 368.
No, it's the 6888.
6888. Yeah, see, I screwed it up. That's how much I like. No, that's not true. The 6888. So this is based on a true story about an all African American female detachment of the Army, where they generally have to keep the mail circulating during World War II to keep up morale from soldiers. And it goes both ways, like soldiers sending mail home and people from back home sending mail to the soldiers. And it was initially tasked them to do 90 days. And they were set up for failure every chance they got. Yeah. And Oprah Winfrey's in this. No. She's not in it for very long.
Oh, thank God. Because she was absolutely one of the worst parts of A Wrinkle in Time.
Oh, I'm sure.
Which, did you see that movie?
No. I avoided it like the plague.
God, it made me... I love that book.
Just because I like the book so much that I was like, there's no way.
Man, I love that book. And Oprah, a giant Oprah was not necessary.
Yeah.
And why on earth did Reese Witherspoon turn into a giant piece of lettuce? She's supposed to be a Pegasus with wings. Anyway, continue. The 6888.
Yeah. So, and that's the basic story to it. But it... For a change, as compared to how we reacted to Carry On,
yep,
this is actually really good. I would have liked to have seen this in the theaters.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just for how well it looks.
Yeah,
and it looks like it has a big budget when it probably doesn't.
Oh, let me find out.
And the acting is really good. It's believable. You really feel for the women that are in this because they all have their own stories to tell. They all want to be bigger than what they are or what people think they should be, and proving people wrong. And I really like those kind of stories, and this is no exception.
Yeah, I know. You're a sucker for real stories. That's for sure.
I am. I'm looking forward to Alto Nights. That's one of my favorite trailers right now.
Yeah, Alto Nights looks really good.
Yeah,
and I. Robert De Niro playing against Robert De
Niro.
Now you've got my attention.
I didn't know that before. I had been reading about this film for quite a while because anything with true stories about the mob in New York City, and especially Vito Genovese and Frank Costello, I'm already in. I don't even need to see a trailer.
Yeah.
But then when I saw this the other day, as soon as I saw it online, I put it on a couple of the R-rated films we had.
I hadn't heard anything about this, so this was my first exposure to it, and I was like, dang, that looks good.
So it's been pushed around for a while.
Yeah.
And I know that normally spells disaster and red flags in the movie world, but this, I think, is going to be a lot better than that. I'm hoping it does some business. And it's Barry Levinson as a director, too, who also did Bugsy. And I really like Bugsy too. I've gotten to love that film within like the last 10 years.
Is that why your dog's named Bugsy?
No.
Oh, really?
No. The reason Bugsy is named Bugsy is we got him from a woman who named him Bug. And I hate that name, Bug. So we just added the Z on the end. And so we call him Bugsy. Yeah, that's not how he got his name. I wish I could say that it was, but it really isn't.
Well, I think that it's going to be a fantastic watch, even if it's kind of bad. Yeah. Honestly, like it seems like one of those things where you're like, I can get behind just watching Robert De Niro play two different guys in the same movie. Yeah. And
even in the trailer, you don't see the seams or anything either with that the trailer starts out with them sitting at a dinner table in a restaurant and just
I couldn't figure out how on God's green earth did they manage to have the camera moving in the way they did, matched perfectly for two separate takes of this? What did they do?
Yeah.
What kind of magic is that? Because when it's a super smooth move, easy. You put it on a track, you put it on a robot, you're done. But when it's a bit more difficult when it looks like it's on an actual freaking Steadicam doing little tiny sub movements within the movie. Oh gosh, it's a disaster. Also, I cannot find the budget for this freaking movie. Thanks, Netflix.
And I'm pretty for
6888.
6888. Thank you.
But yeah, I do want to see this.
It's definitely worth your time. Yeah. Like I said, I really wish that this had something that gone in the theaters.
Yeah. Well,
and I think it would have done well as a theatrical release too.
We said that about Wolves too, but you know what?
No
one listens to us.
Yeah, we don't make the rules.
Thanks, Sony, for nothing.
Well, this isn't Sony. This is Netflix.
Yeah, thanks to them for nothing as well.
Netflix has released stuff in theaters too,
when they think it has Academy Award potential is really when they do it most of the time.
When they did that, they had a short theatrical run for Glass Onion, the Knives Out sequel.
Yeah, because Rian Johnson complained till he was blue in the face for that. He was so mad that it wasn't getting theatrical release. But I'm like, you know who you signed a contract with, right?
I was kind of surprised it didn't get a full theatrical release because Knives Out did. And Knives Out did really well.
Yeah, but Knives Out wasn't Netflix funded at all, as far as I know. It was a completely separate funding.
I think Lionsgate was behind the first one. Why didn't they just go behind the second one?
They probably saw Borderlands and said, "We can't let this happen to our movie." I don't know. But yeah, no
mistake.
I don't know. Anyway, you want to get in the news?
Yeah, let's get into. Sorry, I completely forgot that we were going into the online.
I love to shock you with it. That's the best thing is when that dial-up tone hits and you're not ready for it.
Oh,
that's my favorite thing in the whole world.
just like revealing Nicolas Cage is an operative in G-Force.
He's not just an operative. He's the mole.
He's the literally.
I was this close to doing it, and then I was like, I'm going to save it for a little bit later so it doesn't go right back in there. But it's fine. Ruin my fun.
I did. That's what I'm here for. I ruin Garrett's fun all the time.
Is that what it is, or have I Pavloved you into thinking about G-Force every time we sit down at this table?
That's probably more. I believe that. Yes.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay, so apparently Justin Baldoni, who was the co-star and director in It Ends With Us, has gone out to go after Disney now. Because he wants them to retain any and all documentation about the development of the character Nice Pool that was in the Deadpool 3, whatever. And so basically he's
fighting Blake Lively and Disney now?
Well, at the very least, Ryan Reynolds, but Disney has all of the documentation. So apparently he's saying that Nice Pool was made to mock him specifically. I guess because he's Canadian, but Ryan Reynolds is Canadian. I think that was the joke.
Yeah.
But anyway, the shooting script contained nothing which would have implied Baldoni was an inspiration. It said, quote, he's immaculate. He wears a Deadpool suit with no mask. The suit looks like Yves Saint Laurent. Yves Saint Laurent.
Yes.
Sorry, I don't speak. What is that?
Pretentious?
French? Sorry, we said the same thing.
I was going to say, you don't speak pretentious.
Is it French?
Yes.
Okay, that's why.
Yves Saint Laurent.
I'm a winner. I don't speak and give up. Anyway, so Yves Saint Laurent himself slummed it and designed a Marvel film. The man's about 20% more muscular, and after a pretty healthy session in Lola, looks a younger Ryan Reynolds in his prime before his looks were ravaged by 4 children and 10 side hustles. The man's a GD angel. That's what's in the script, in the shooting script. That's how they describe it. So apparently he was in the picture before Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively started working on It Ends With Us, or at very least before they started butting heads.
Right.
But the conflict could have inspired some of the characters' dialogue. And I mean, of course it does. If you piss off Ryan Reynolds, he's going to make a joke about you. That's how it works. And it's not illegal.
Yeah, he's the Taylor Swift of the movie world.
Exactly. You know, he breaks up with all of his wife's coworkers and then writes a song about it. That's how it works.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems like
because that whole thing with It Ends With Us is just getting way too complicated even for me. That Blake Lively's suing him, he's suing Blake Lively. You know, there's all these sexual harassment allegations.
Yeah,
and you know, it's just a film that was made for a bunch of women that guys slept through.
Yeah, well,
including myself.
The funny thing about it is there's some back and forth on Justin Baldoni saying some stuff about Blake Lively being pregnant or something, because I think she had her baby right before they started filming.
Yeah, well, one of them was in Deadpool, remember?
Yes, yeah. And but during the introduction in
actually 2 of their kids were in Deadpool.
Yeah, they had 2.
Yeah.
In Deadpool 3, Nicepool says, "In here, everybody calls me Nicepool. Oh my goodness, wait till you see Ladypool. She is gorgeous. She just had a baby too. You can't even tell." And Deadpool says, "I don't think you can say that." And Nicepool responds, "That's okay. I identify as a feminist." And it's like, yeah, that is probably the kind of thing someone like Justin Baldoni would say if these reports are true. Allegedly, there, covered my butt. But
so his career is going to be making movies for Netflix next.
Because
I think this whole coverage with It Ends With Us is not going to do much for his career.
I think he knows he's done, so he's scrambling and grasping at straws, trying to get whatever money he can. Because he's blacklisted at this point. He's got to be. There's. You know, I mean, maybe he'll go and make some stuff for Lionsgate. But yeah, Baldoni's...
they'll take anybody.
Baldoni's lawyer, Brian Friedman, recently sent a litigation hold letter to Marvel Studios and demanding that the studio preserve evidence related to the character of Nicepool, including any and all documents relating to the development of the character, including without limitation all documents and communications relating to the development, writing, and filming of storylines and scenes featuring Nicepool. Any and all documents relating to or reflecting any deliberate attempt to link the character of Nicepool to Justin Baldoni, and any and all documents relating to or reflecting a deliberate attempt to mock, harass, ridicule, intimidate, or bully Jason Baldoni through the character of Nicepool. Now, that third point is the one I really wanted to bring up. Let me just give it to you one more time.
Okay. Any
deliberate attempt to mock, harass, ridicule, intimidate, or bully Justin Baldoni. He described comedy.
Yeah. So he's suing because...
because joke.
Idiot.
I mean, and I've talked about this with my wife. It's tough because when we're filming our show Play Along, where we play through video games and we add commentary, when she's playing, I give her a hard time when she misses something or whatever. But you know, when you're trying to play and talk and do commentary at the same time, it's hard. I do it too, but I make jokes and she's too nice to do it to me.
Yeah.
And so we talked about this on an episode once where it's like, is it possible to have comedy without a target? I don't think so.
No, because you got to be making fun of somebody.
The most simple form of comedy is man fall down stair, I giggle.
Yeah.
You know, like that's someone got hurt. Comedy is just tragedy happening to someone else. Anyway, Justin Baldoni's career, a comedy for me. So Julia Garner is in the new movie called Weapons that is coming from the director Barbarian and Companion
that we're going to see in a couple weeks.
Yes, yeah, I'm excited about that one. But she said it's not a proper horror movie, which is an interesting thing to take. But basically, the story revolves around a disappearance of high schoolers in a small town, and Garner told Collider, it's not a proper horror movie. It feels very Zach Kreger in that element. There are some comedic elements to it. Barbarian felt like that as well. So I don't know what she means as a proper horror movie. I guess she's just saying that, Zach Kreger, who was part of the Whitest Kids You Know comedy group back in the early 2000s, he is going to be doing comedic stuff in it, which, it does not surprise me.
Barbarian, I didn't think was funny. I just thought it was horrible. But like I said, Companion, I've seen the shifts with that because the first trailer was really me scratching my head at it, just didn't know what to think of it, and it looked weird. The second trailer that I now have on a couple of different features here, and that were confirmed for getting same weekend as Dogman, thank God, that we don't have to watch Dogman for this podcast.
Yeah. It served its purpose, though. I got one joke in at the beginning.
Okay.
So thank God it got made.
It looks a lot more interesting and thought-provoking than initially the first trailer did.
Yeah. The trailer that played tonight, I was like, which I guess is the second or third trailer.
It's the final,
okay.
Whatever you want to. When we get these in on satellite, there's like trailer 1 and then trailer 4, and I was like, well, wait a minute, what happened to 2 and 3?
And they're just like, we don't know, we're executives, we can't count. I don't know, I'm a monkey on a trampoline smoking a cigar trying to figure out the fall schedule. Like,
I just go with, okay, was there any number after that? Okay, that's the last trailer. That's the one I need to start putting on films.
Oh goodness, man.
But yeah, it looks cool though.
Yeah, I'm interested to see it, and it stars one of the girls from Heretics, so I'm excited about that too, because she was really good. Really good. So Christopher Abbott, who played the Wolfman and also played he's called the Stranger, or the I can't even remember what his freaking character is called.
From Craven?
From Craven, yeah. So he was asked about by the Hollywood Reporter. They were asking about the roll of the dice on movies like Craven, and he responded, "Yeah, you never know, man. Absolutely, that's the thing. The business is inherently the most collaborative art and essentially the most expensive. So there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen sometimes, and whether that's actors or the director, whoever else is around, it takes a village." And then
it takes a paycheck.
It does take a paycheck. Yeah. So it's he basically just didn't answer the question, which I think is very funny.
How about this for an answer? I got to work. I don't care if a movie's bad. I got to work.
Yeah. And you know what? Becoming a working actor, who even if you show up in
tough.
A bunch of terrible movies, like, you're getting to do what you love and have fun, and sometimes bad stuff is the most fun to do because you're all having fun going, what a crock of crap. Let's do it again. It's fun. But yeah, oh well. So there is a plot line in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that I have been waiting to have a payoff for quite some time. Actually, since 2008. Andy.
Okay.
So there is a character in the first Iron Man movie, and it is the guy who is the quote unquote leader of the 10 Rings, and he's the one who has the deal with Obadiah Stane to kill Tony Stark and all that stuff. Yep. So the actor, his name is Ferran Tahir, and he is going to be coming back in the new Vision series that's coming out. So it's
So does that include the next Shang-Chi film? Because I know there's a second one.
I don't know if he'll be in it.
Oh, okay.
But
He should be.
Yeah, it just says he'll be in the.
I would much prefer him over Aquafina, but
yes. But yeah, he'll be in the Vision series, which is at least interesting. I don't know if there will be much going on with him, but they also have James Spader coming back as Ultron, which is interesting. That sounds like multiverse stuff to me, unfortunately.
Yes.
But yeah, it's something. Now, when I first saw Age of Ultron, I didn't love it as much as I did the first one, but James Spader's performance as Ultron, still fantastic.
I thought the Avengers films, all of them were really good.
Yeah, I think Age of Ultron was probably underappreciated when it came out.
Yeah.
But yeah. So Alien Romulus has a sequel. We've talked about this. Very exciting.
Their number one film of last year.
I loved it. I freaking loved that movie, man. And the sequel is apparently going to show things that have never been seen in the franchise before. So,
okay,
that means we will
better look an Alien, I hope.
That thing got jettisoned into space, right? So we're good.
I haven't seen it since we saw it here.
We should watch it again.
Yeah.
That'd be good. But yeah, so speaking with Empire, Fede Alvarez confirmed that he and, sorry if I butcher this name, Sagayas, are working on the script for the sequel. And he said, we're excited about where it can go. We've almost checked all the boxes on things that I want to see and brought back a lot of the things I hadn't seen in a while. Wherever we go now, we can go into uncharted waters. I think it'll be so exciting to go with the characters you know from this movie to a place in the Alien franchise that we've never been before and discover things that you've never seen before.
Yeah, like profitability.
Yes, that would be good. So yeah, Rain and Andy are going to be coming back, which is really exciting.
Good. Yeah.
And then Alvarez said that he's not making this sequel just because of the success of the previous movie, meaning that he can, but because they have a really good idea for it, something that's worthy of the title. So we don't know what the title is yet. So far, it's just being called Alien Romulus sequel. But
Right.
But yeah, we'll see.
Cool.
Speaking of Alien Romulus, so a lot of people did not like the Ian Holm CGI character in that movie.
See, I did.
They said they fixed it for the home release.
Oh.
So it should look better now than it did then. And Fede Alvarez said, like, we ran out of time.
I didn't think it looked that bad.
I didn't think it looked bad. It definitely wasn't like
It didn't
the
detract.
best I've ever seen, but it wasn't bad.
It didn't detract from it. In fact, I like the fact that they built those things into the movie to link to the first one.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't that. It was just that some people felt it was kind of in the uncanny valley. It wasn't the character existing. It was the animation and the, like
I've
he
seen
looked
worse.
kind of rubbery. I absolutely have too. Yeah, like look, it was still experimental, but Rogue One, it's so distracting when Tarkin's on screen. It was really good for the time. It was like, oh my gosh, they can do that. But then I look at it and I'm like, yeah, it still feels weird.
Yeah.
But they apparently have said that they really did a lot of work to
So they cleaned
fix
it up. They fixed it up for the home release.
Yeah, that's what they said. So I'm sure someone will do a full on comparison, and we can go and look at that at some point. But it's it's something that he wasn't happy with, and so he said, I understand. Fede Alvarez, said that he understands why people weren't 100% happy with it, because I wasn't. But we fixed it. We made it better for the release right now. I convinced the studio we need to spend the money and make sure we give the companies that were involved in making it the proper time to finish it and do it right. It's so much better. And so he's finally happy with it. And he said what we did for the home entertainment version was revert a lot more to the puppet. So because the animatronic puppeteer Shane Mahan actually did this animatronic of Ian Holm based on a head cast from The Lord of the Rings, and it was the only one in existence. Ooh. So they kind of went back to the puppet a lot.
Yeah, because I know Ian Holm had passed away, so I was kind of amazed at how well that they did that.
Yeah, they had a cast of his head. There was one in existence,
That's
and they
cool.
used that. Yeah, so I'm excited. I'll watch this again to see that.
Yeah,
now that it's
too.
out. Oh yeah, doing that. Oh, I'm doing that. So yeah.
Have you got it yet for your video collection?
I have not yet.
Okay.
I have outstanding invoices I'm waiting to get fulfilled.
Oh, okay.
So pay small businesses on time, please. It really helps them.
Yeah.
So yeah, Steamboat Willie. Steamboat Willie's been in the public domain. Screamboat has unveiled an image of this, and
They moved the release date too.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah.
Well, where did they move it to?
I don't remember. I just know it was supposed to come out January 31st, and now it's not.
Okay. All right. Well,
if they're smart, they'll just put it to streaming.
if they're smart, they'll put it in the shredder.
But I've seen the image too of the Screamboat mouse.
I'm going to put this image on our Instagram.
And I just laughed hysterically.
It is so funny.
It is so bad.
You have got to see this. This is like, oh my goodness. I had a flashback just now to the BBC version of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. This looks like those costumes.
Yeah, but
that's worse.
That's understandable because that was done, 70s?
Yeah, it was
80s?
like 70s or 80s and had
no
probably
budget.
not the same budget as Screamboat Willie.
Right.
So, but this image of this mouse, man, really is... It's something. It's something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to bring it up because if you hadn't seen it, I've seen this guy, it looks so
that's just...
Why is he gray?
You can barely tell that it's a mouse, too. Like, I had to stare at it for a couple of minutes to figure that out.
The ears are real big, but that could be a teddy bear.
Yeah.
It's so odd.
I thought it was just an overgrown Ewok.
That's an E-run.
Yeah.
It's a terrible joke.
Yeah, as in run direct to home video.
Yeah, go to your local Blockbuster and pick up a copy today. Oh my goodness.
And the other rumor about that film too for the longest time is that Rob Zombie did it, and even he said no.
You know you've made a pile of crap when Rob Zombie says, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, but me and my wife are going back and watching like Big Bang Theory and came across the one where Raj has like the freaky girlfriend and he has to watch House of a Thousand Corpses with Wolowitz before he watches it with her. And Jessica, and I really like House of a Thousand Corpses. You won't. I can tell you that automatically. But she just looked at me when they're describing the film in that episode going, yeah, I'm never watching that with you. And I was like, okay.
Hey, you know what? At least she warns you. It's not like she gets in the theater and says, actually, no. And then like laughs and giggles as she runs away, leaving you alone.
Well, poor Jessica, she said no to Hard Eyes.
Yeah, I heard her. And I wanted to lean over and go, me too, Andy. I can't do it.
I'm going to do it for other reasons.
Man, Hard Eyes, I should say.
Hard Eyes, yes.
Looks bad because the main character, I don't believe they've been through a night of struggle at all. Like, there's definitely shots where I'm like, okay, this finale has to take place in the amusement park because that's exactly where this would end. And she still looks like she just did her like, what? Were they on the run from this Hard Eyes killer and just decided, let me stop by the powder room. I need to freshen up. Like that, it makes no sense. But
well, we're confirmed for it at Grand Avenue. So
well, you win some, you lose some.
It wasn't my first choice. In fact, I got the email from the film bar yesterday. I was like, oh, Paddington's confirmed. Great. Hard Eyes is confirmed. I'm like, what?
Is that the same weekend?
No.
Okay.
Hard Eyes comes out February 7th along with Love Kills, which we're probably going to open. Which that
Love Kills or Love Hurts?
Love Hurts. Sorry,
okay,
Love Hurts.
Yeah.
Which I'm
it's an
much
electricity thing, not a
right.
What's wrong with me, Andy?
Which I'm much more interested in seeing that than Hard Eyes, but I want to see Hard Eyes just to make fun of it.
Yeah.
And Paddington Peru comes out Valentine's Day.
Okay.
Which we now have our Valentine's Day couples event up for sale.
Oh, yeah.
We're doing How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Nice.
So
classic. You can't really hate it.
Yeah.
You know?
Maria, our assistant here, she put in a lot of work with the menu and what we're going to do for that. And
cool.
it's going to be cool.
Yeah. Maria's great. I was up on a roof today. Because I'm working with my dad now doing roofing, and I was crawling all over her house.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, we were allowed
that sounds
to.
like an HR thing.
Well, it was
just like
I was getting a low center of gravity, Andy. It wasn't weird. I was just trying not to fall off.
She is married, and so are you.
Yeah. Well, what does that mean?
I'm not going there.
I was doing an inspection. So yeah, not that this podcast is sponsored, but I do work for my dad now partially. I have my own company and I do that stuff, but I'm helping out with them too. And so Refresh My Roof, look them up. We do roofing right.
Which you see part of the ad in our pre-show here at Grand Avenue.
That's right. Yeah, in the ad for my company.
Yep.
Where I'm just like, hey, we do video real good, real nice for you.
Which I see a big shot of Hannah every time that I watch something.
Yeah, I had to get her up on the screen. She's so beautiful. If I keep it all to myself, my eyes will literally melt. So I got to share it with the world so that we can all melt together.
Cool.
Yeah, she's a wonderful woman. Love you, babe. She doesn't listen to this anyway. So Kraven the Hunter will be available on digital on January 14th. So it's out 2 days ago as of now. But
for a rental of $20.
I know the rentals should not be $20.
I'm not paying $20 to rent that. I'm sorry,
but I would pay $20 for a 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray of it because it's got deleted and extended scenes. I want to see what got cut. It's got the stunts of the hunt, which I love stunts, so that's fun. Outtakes and bloopers, and then I don't know if they have a director's commentary or anything, but I would kill to get that. I would, especially if the director was like, yeah, so this is where I was doing this thing, and then the executives from Sony pulled up and they put some white stuff on a mirror or something. I don't know, and then all I heard was someone blowing their nose, and then they ruined it.
I am looking forward to the director's next film, Sinners, with Michael P. Jordan.
Yeah, that looks really good.
Yeah, and they haven't kept it real quiet on what it's a vampire film.
Yeah.
But the trailer, you cannot tell that at all. And now that they've been Warner Brothers has been shifting around a lot of their releases lately. So
probably because they're scrambling, trying to figure out which monkey to push off the trampoline.
Yeah.
After.
So Sinners is now coming out in April. Mickey 17 got pushed to the first week of March,
right?
Which is when Sinners initially was supposed to come, and then Alto Nights is at the end of March now.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Well, good luck, Warner Brothers. We hope it's a better year than last year, but also push those monkeys off that trampoline. Hire me.
Yeah, but they got Superman in their pocket for this summer.
That's
so
true.
They're made for the whole year.
Yeah, they got James Gunn, and it's probably the only smart thing they've ever done.
Yep.
The Russo brothers are returning to direct Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars, apparently. So they are back in the fold after having done Endgame and the one before Infinity Wars. Yeah, so they apparently are going to be coming back, and they said that Endgame was the end, and it took a little time for us to begin to think about it as something other than an end. This was Anthony Russo talking to Empire.
Okay.
He said, we're very close with Kevin and Lou D'Esposito, which is Marvel Studios co-president with Kevin Feige, and the entire Marvel team, and we've had conversations through the years. We talked about a lot of ideas, and Anthony continued, really what happened was we ended up stumbling upon an idea that activated all of us. You couldn't see it coming until it came, and once it came, it was like, well, that's a story we need to tell. So
okay,
I hope that's true.
Even though we know it's going to be the multiverse, which we both roll our eyes and just cringe at, but
if Doctor Doom steps through a portal and goes, and then kills the multiverse, full redemption.
Yeah.
Like, it just end it really there.
So with the Russos behind that too, I have a little bit more hope for it that it's going to be decent.
Yeah, I'm also interested to see The Electric State, which is a Netflix movie they produced. The Gray Man was
I didn't
fine.
see that.
It was fine, and I never saw Cherry, which was their Tom Holland.
That I did see.
How was that?
That was really good.
Okay, yeah, I heard Tom Holland was good in it, but I does he get assaulted in a bathroom stall in that movie, or is that a different one he's in?
I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, that's fine. I'm looking to avoid it. I
just remember that Tom Holland was good in that, and I did like Uncharted too.
I was fine with Uncharted. I really like the games. It wasn't
I never
Uncharted.
Played the games.
Yeah. It wasn't Uncharted in the same way. It was, as prequels sort of story.
But once
for
again,
Uncharted,
this poor man Rares of the Lost Ark ripoffs, I still kind of have a soft spot for.
I liked that up until the ships were in the air being towed by helicopters, and I was like, that's not how any of this works. This is gone. The scene where he's falling out the back of the plane was, one, ripped straight out of the game, and two, looked really good for the most part. But then the boats thing, I'm just like, that's not how helicopters work. You can't do that with a helicopter. That thing is blah, 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 in the rocks. It's in the ocean. It's thrown everybody out of it. It's spit on them on the way down. Helicopters are cantankerous. So
okay.
I don't know. That was the part where I was just like, you kind of jumped the shark here for me. Like, I like the idea, but like, have them be on a rope and pulley system that they, the brakes fell off. I don't know, something else, but
okay.
Oh well. All right. I do have good news to end on here, at least for Lionsgate.
They went bankrupt?
Of. No, that would be good news for you, but not for them. So Lionsgate had a really rough year at the box office last year, but they got a boon, if you will, because Den of Thieves 2 was the number one movie of the weekend.
Yeah.
January. So low bar, but a bar nonetheless. And it kicked the pants off of A Better Man, which is the
Better Man just barely made $1 million.
Is it Robbie Williams? Is that his name? I saw a tweet about this where the studio paid $25 million for the North American distribution rights on A Better Man. And the weekend grosses got posted, and someone on Twitter, and forgive me, I can't remember who it was, just said, what part of we don't know who this guy is do you not understand?
Which is what I said when we were initially booked for this film. I'm like, nobody in this part of America is going to know. Like, I barely know who the guy was.
Right, yeah. And you're a music nerd.
Right. And to be betrayed as a CGI monkey is the dumbest.
I
like,
know.
when I saw trailers for this, I cringed because I'm like, who's going to see this?
Yeah, like I said, though, I think it's an interesting idea, but do it with someone... But do it as a made-up thing.
And that's even...
Because they're trying to say it's the true story of this thing, and I'm like, no one wants to see that then, because they're like, well, I can't connect to it. And if I don't know who it is, if it was, let's say, Adam Gontier from 3 Days Grace being played by a monkey, not a CGI monkey, an actual chimp like the 80s movies, that I would watch the crap out of 10 times a day. But this, no one wanted this.
Yeah, and it's funny, like there was a booking scramble for here last Monday when we were supposed to get it. I had it up for sale. I immediately opened it in our smallest theater because I'm like, yeah, nobody.
Yeah.
Just, I'm not even going to turn the projector on. Just empty house for a week. But Paramount at the last minute, they're scaling back on this release, and I was like, duh.
Yeah. Maybe don't scale back. Just do the tax write-off thing where you go, didn't work, sorry.
Yeah, just
all
put
the hard
Paramount
drives
Plus
crashed and we don't have it anymore, so we just got to write it off on the taxes, I guess, because it doesn't exist. And they're like, well, we can send you another one by a satellite. I'm sorry, our satellite dish broke. Dish TV's coming out on Thursday, but by that point it's too late. I don't know. So just write it off.
And it's, one of the other, I don't know if I guess this is going to hurt his career, but it's the guy that, the director of that film is the same one that did The Greatest Showman.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he wants his name. And so the director will now be Alan Smithy.
Yeah. The thing is, I think it'll be, or what was it, Joe Crombie on Borderlands. But I think that it'll be, if it's making its money overseas and it makes its budget back there, he'll be fine. The real. I
don't think it's going to.
Maybe not. Yeah, I don't know. But if it does there and it performs where people know what the heck it is, the problem is not Europe, but England is very small. Yeah. And that's where he's mostly famous. And there's about 9 people who would go to see this movie and half as many teeth between them, Yeah. And so so it's a I don't know what they were thinking with it. I can't wrap my head around why this was a good idea. But that being said, I also didn't think that about Bohemian Rhapsody, and people went nuts for it because people love Queen.
Bohemian Rhapsody, I like.
I don't care about Queen though, so I thought it was a stupid idea. But I was wrong. So, I can see how you would get in a situation where you go, look, people have said this is not something people care about before. But look, we have all these examples. And what we're going to do is revitalize that idea, but now it's a monkey. And there's a certain level of trying things that I respect. I respect the big swing. But they should have left the monkey on the swing and walked away from it. Like, leave him in the enclosure with the big tire and the rope and go away.
Well, next couple of Lionsgate films actually look to be pretty, Flight Risk is next week.
Yeah, Flight Risk looks good. It's Mel Gibson, though. He's a good director.
Yeah. And then there's another one in conjunction with the Christian studio that put out Best Christmas Pageant Ever.
Oh, really?
Called The Unbreakable Boy. That actually looks really good. And it's a true story about an autistic kid.
Oh, wow.
Zachary Levi plays his dad.
Oh, yeah.
And hopefully we should be getting it here. I'm pushing for it pretty hard.
Yeah. That would be cool to see.
Yeah. If you haven't seen it, look up the trailer.
I don't know why for a second I thought you were going to say that Zachary Levi was playing an autistic child.
No,
and I was I thought that was Harold and the Purple Crayon.
Yeah, that nobody went to see.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. But yeah, A Better Man not doing well. And that means Lionsgate has the first #1 movie in theaters for the first time in over a year. Good for them. Oh, boy. All righty. Well, thank you so much for joining us, everybody. We really appreciate you. We have a lot of fun doing this show. We hope you enjoy listening.
Yeah. So one last news note.
That's right. I totally forgot.
On a sad note, and this is kind of personal for me. I'm sorry, but David Lynch passed away today. If nobody knows who David Lynch is, he is really one of the first directors. Eraserhead is considered one of the first Midnight films. Mm-hmm. And he has made a lot of thought-provoking, interesting, very wild wildly made films that are very different. Wild at Heart with Nicolas Cage, when Nicolas Cage used to do good movies. My favorite, Blue Velvet. I absolutely love that film. I still do to this day. Twin Peaks, and then I worked on Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me. And I got to spend some time with the man and actually made a piece of furniture that's in the film. And he smoked constantly. But he asked me, if I smoked and why I didn't smoke. And I said, I just don't think it's good for my health. He said I was a smart man. It was really hard for me to read that today, that he had passed away. He was 78, and he will be a legend in my mind and an influence on me for like what I visually look at for filmmaking. So rest in peace, brother.
Yeah, definitely a powerhouse of cinema. I mean, Eraserhead, The Elephant Man. He did some stuff that people just pick apart for years and years and years. And I think there's something to be said for that level of interest in doing something to connect with people. So rest in peace, David Lynch. Oh, alrighty. Well, I guess then we can end.
We can end this
with a sad goodbye. But you know what?
Yeah.
We all have our time, and he sure did a lot with his.
He did. Even though Universal messed up Dune, I don't blame him for that. I think.
Yeah, no, that's not his fault.
But I've seen the 4.5-hour version that he made, which is actually really good.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's
I like that. The what Universal chopped that up to be in theaters.
Yeah, that 2-hour mark. I understand why they want to just like always keep it under 2 hours, because you get more shows in a day. I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. But like also at the same time, if the movie doesn't make sense, maybe you're stupid for doing that.
Yeah.
But you guys won't be stupid if you find us on Instagram and Facebook at Grand Review Pod, and let us know what you thought about Wolfman. If you saw it, good, bad, great, or terrible. There'll be a poll on Spotify as well. If you're listening on Spotify, you can answer that. And let us know what you thought. And then also, I will. I've said many times on this show that I will upload a photo of something and then completely forgotten to. But I made a marker this week, so I will upload the photo of Screamboat Willie. But that being said, it is time for us to go. And I just want to say that we're praying for all of you. We hope that you have a wonderful week. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Which means there's only one thing left to do, Eddie. I won't cut it out. And that's to say, we'll see you at the movies. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all.